Hey guys, welcome back to part 19. Okay guys, welcome back.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. What I'm doing here is today we're getting ready to flow coat this car, what we call flow coat. Now as you can see, we've painted it and it's been cleared. We've put on 3 coats of clear over the top of the base coat, and now what we do is we chop it all back, or rub it all back if that's the way you want to go with it. We in the panel trade, we just term it, we just chop it, we chop it back. You've got to be a bit careful too the finer you go with paper, because you can get what they call lamination. The clear won't adhere properly, or the new coats of clear won't adhere properly to what you've already got on here. So you've got to make a decision where you want to go and how you want to go, whether you want to go a bit coarser or a little bit smoother. But in doing that with different grits paper, it can run into different problems. You can get what we call paper marks. You've got to be very careful, or smudge marks, and you've got to rub it very, very carefully, because if you tend to want to rub up and down and across, you'll put grainy marks into the clear itself. Because you're going to overcoat that. I'll give you a look here if you like to explain it the simplest way, guys. Once it's overcoated, once you run that water over, there's the effect you'll get. That's what you'll see when it's finished. And if you've got scratches under that new clear, that's what you end up with. So this part of the job now is to be really done correctly, because if we scratch that and then we clear over the top of it, it's ruined the whole finish of what we want. But the flow coating, as you can see if you walk around the car, give you a look around it, everywhere, all in the openings, every panel, every little nook and cranny around the car, it's been rubbed. And as I say, we've done it with a 1500 grit, and being super careful not to miss anywhere. And the whole idea of that is to get that really, really top finish now with the flow coat, as we call it. We'll go with around about 3 coats of clear over the top of that now. And then when that's done, if we're happy with that, then we'll chop it all back again, and we'll buff it, and that then should be an absolutely stunning finish. And the flow coat, it just brings that real nice luster out in it, gives it that real deep look, and that's what we're after. But that's a bit of an insight into why we flow coat and how you do it. So that's just another thing that, you know, a lot of guys go for that. Some guys won't. Some guys will just paint the car. They'll put on their 3 coats of clear to finish with over their base colour, and they'll either leave it if the finish is good enough, depending what you want, or they'll chop it all back and buff it. And that's fine too, that's another way to do it. But on this job, we really want that show car look. So hence, it's got its 3 coats of clear. We'll chop it all down now, and then we'll go 3 more, and then we'll chop it again, and that should come up an absolute stunner. But that's it guys, that's where we're at the moment.
Also guys, if you are going to have a go at doing this yourself, make sure your water is super clean. If you get any little tiny bits that want to tend to scratch you clear, that's going to ruin your job.
Make sure, and if you're in doubt, tip the old water out and go and get some fresh stuff, because
yeah, always just keep make sure it's clean, hey?
It's crucial. You ruin the whole thing if you get a bit of tiniest little bit of grit in that now, because as you can see that finish is so fine there now. If you get like a most minute bit of crap in that and you rub that, you'll just destroy that finish so quick it's not funny. Yep, no, that's dead right. It's getting down to the end of the job and it gets really fussy now. That's come up, you can see where that's come up there, guys. Like that's once that gets a nice 2 or 3 more coats over the top of that, that's going to be look a treat. Nice colour, it'll look really good. It'll really bling that colour with 3 more coats of clear over it. It'll really look the part. Like I said earlier, get into every corner, every crevice, don't miss anything. You don't want lamination later. Make sure it's rubbed correctly and not rubbed to the point where you've actually scratched it, because you will have issues if you're going to flow coat. And even if you're not, at this point you want minimal scratches if you intend to buff or even hand polish in places. Just saves so much work. You don't have scratches out, and you end up with just a much nicer finish.
Finally starting to get around the body now with the final rub before we flow coat it. It's a really important stage now. This is crucial how we rub it, and you can see here we're actually wet rubbing it at the moment just because we want to make sure those fine scratches are removed. This is a really fussy part.
Give it a nice chop back, get it really super nice now. As you can see, I know if that camera's going to show it up there, I'll just put some water on it, run some water over it, which you can kind of see, I think
you can sort of see
what we've got, but yeah, it's really important now to get this rubbed back really nice. You've got to be super careful you don't get scratches in it now, because as Mick just said, and just the mannerism which you use to rub it, you've got to be very careful and make sure there's no crap in your water and don't get any fine scratches, because nothing worse when a job's finished and you put it outside to have a look at it and it's got some fine little rub marks under that clear, and that's what we don't want. We want it absolutely blemish free, no marks. We want an absolute spot on perfect finish for this car.
And it's funny because Dad makes it look easy, he's rubbing it there, but what he's actually feeling in his hand, he can feel every little bit. So, and if you don't know what you're doing and you're just rubbing it with your hand like that, you can rub a whole lot of marks into it.
Yeah, it's really crucial at the moment. You can bugger this up real quick now,
yeah,
real quick, or you can make it into a super nice job. But that just comes from years and years of doing this stuff.
Well, come and look at this door, guys. Now, this is where we were saying where all that hard work pays off with file finishing or run. If you can just use this shadow, what I was talking about. You can see how straight that is running. See, there's not a ripple, not a wave. That door is straight and there's no bog, file finished. You can see now the bonnet is all rubbed and that is now ready for a flow coat. So they'll get sprayed today. So all good. And the scoop's ready for its flow coat. And the rest of the car's all rubbed and it's ready for flow coat as well. Alright guys, check that out. Flow coat, the extra silver in the paint, looks like diamonds. Just looks absolutely awesome in the light. That flow coat's made it stand up. Silver's just half as. So that's flow coat. Now the next step will be We'll rub that back again, and then it's going to get a really nice buff. So basically, we're nearly finished, but yeah, you can see the edges with the flow coat. It just really made it glassy. Straight as. So yeah guys, cut and buff time.
Give you a bit of a look today at after we've got the colour on this car now. We're sanding it back, and why we do that, we want to achieve that real super nice finish now, that show look. And depends how far you want to go back when you cut a car back, whether you want to take the complete peel out of a job or you just want to leave a little bit of peel. Depends what you're looking for in the finish. With this job, we want to just leave a hint of peel in it. We want to just leave that little bit of factoriness about it. We could take it back, like chopped it right back to super smooth. We're not going to go quite that far with this one. Now the trick is, when you're doing this, if you're going to have a crack yourself, always remember, keep away from your edges as best you can. Don't really cut back hard around edges. This particular job, we've got around about 7 coats of clear on it now because it's been flow coated. We'll take off about a half a coat thereabouts by the time it's chopped back and buffed, and that's enough. You've still got heaps of material left on. And the other thing is too, guys, if you're in a grooved spot like a body line like that, be very careful of how that block works around those body lines, because you get like a corner, like a sharp bit of a corner, and before you know it, if you're not mindful of what you're doing, you would have taken off a couple of coats, and you don't want to do that for longevity. You want to keep as much material on the job as you can. And like I said, we've got plenty of material on, so we can be a little bit severe or chop into it a bit if you like, but you've got to be careful with your paper as well, depending what grits you want to use. And there again, depending on which way you want to go with your buffs, what compounds you use. We've worked out over years good techniques and good materials to give that real lusterish finish when it's completely done. And what I like to use is just a plain old sponge, household white. Very good for the water. All I do is just drizzle a little bit on, and just away you go, and start to chop the amount you need off. And as you go, just drizzle a little bit on. Just watch what the job's doing. You'll see how far and how much peel you've taken off and how far you want to go. But as I said, be very, very careful around any edges, because that's when you can run into problems. And longevity, you want to leave as much material on that as you can, because you want it to hold that luster. Once you start to chop into it too much, there's just not enough material left, depending how far you've gone with your paintwork. So we use, like I say, different grits. You can use 1500, 2000, down as fine as 3000 to get that real super show finish. But you've got different buffs, you've got coarse and fine, different compounds, the same again, coarse and fine. So you work out which way you want to go, and we like to just use the finer the better. And we work over the years that on the principle that the finer you use, the better finish you have in the end. But everyone's got different techniques. That works for us, may not work for you. That's just the way we find it works for us. But anyway guys, that's a bit of a quick look into how you chop the paint back. But as I said, be very mindful of your edges, that's your main thing. And use the right grit paper. Don't be too aggressive. Even if you get a little bit frustrated when you're starting to cut the stuff back, take your time. You're better off being a bit patient, because you'll have an excellent finish when the job's done.
Start it up.
cutting back the clear coat. As you can see now, it's basically the dull look. So yeah, once you've finished cutting it back with your fine paper, sometimes it depends. We'll go 1,500, 2,000 to 3,000, 3,500. Just depends how this clear is going to buff up. But yeah guys, so that's what we're doing now, and there's nothing better than a new buff pad. I've already blown it off, make sure there's no dust. So I'll give it a nice bit of a rinse off. Just to get any little bits of dust that is on there. It's got to be super clean, guys, when you're buffing. You don't want any scratches or any little bits of like dust, or make sure it's really clean. Yeah, you're getting a bit of a storm today.
Don't let that scare you. You'll be right, mate. Put your big boy pants on and get into it.
Time to make it nice and shiny.
Start it up.
Come around this side, and there you go guys, it's like glass. The finish is just beautiful, and you can see the nice bling in the silver paint, just blinging now. That's that finish we're talking about with the flow coat. Literally looks like glass. See the reflection in the background off the panel. And there's just a nice peel. There's just the perfect amount of peel.
Alright guys, I'm going to give you a bit of a look at what we do to buff the panels up. We're at that stage now, and Michael's gone through, I think, first or second stage. Mick, where are you at with this?
I'm at the second stage. Second stage now.
Okay, so what we do guys, first stage, once we've cut the panels back after they're painted, because we want to cut and buff, we go through the first stage of the cutting, and that is with a firmer cutting pad. This one here, like young Mick said, the second stage, it's not as aggressive, but very, very carefully. But the first one, yeah, it's to mainly chop it down a bit quicker to bring the paint up to the standard that you want. As you can see, it's already had its first one, bit of compound on there, ready to go again with this second stage buff. Okay guys, so there you can see as you go bit by bit through the process, and one of the things that we'll point out too, you've got to be super careful of what we call swirl marks or buff marks, and they're basically a circular mark like a rotation mark from the buff, but we're pretty happy with that at the moment. It's coming up pretty good. But anyway guys, that's a bit of a look at the buffing.
And as Dad says, as smooth as the inside of a lady's leg.
Correct.